Thank you for joining me today on the Who God Says podcast. I am your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Hi, hi, hi. Today we have a special guest. He is amazing. He is an author, a consultant, and an entrepreneur, Mr. Philip Blackett. Welcome.
Hi, hi,
Hi, hi,
hi. How's it
hi.
going? Happy to be here with you.
I'm excited. Oh my gosh.
Me as well.
Oh wow. Okay, so we just recently just talked about all of your degrees and all of the schools that you attended. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna put it to work today. You ready?
Let's go.
I'm taking notes, just so you know. I gotta take notes. I first want to ask you, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Memphis,
Ooh.
Tennessee. So I'm a Southerner at heart. So a lover of all things barbecue, Chick-fil-A, and sweet tea related.
Okay, Chick-fil-A. Okay, so what is a Chick-fil-A kick? Because I don't even eat Chick-fil-A.
Honestly, Ty-Shaun-Dra, I've been trying to figure it out for a while because I've eaten there many times, and the food is good. And sometimes I wonder to myself, why are people coming back here to the level they're coming back here though? I mean, it's good. I just didn't think it was like that good.
Oh my gosh. So there's an addiction there, you don't even know it.
Right.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm with you on the sweet tea though. I can do that. I can vibe with you on the
There
sweet
we
tea.
go.
Yes. That's actually a nickname for me. Sweet tea.
That makes
Aw.
sense.
Yeah, so we can go with the sweet tea. Now the barbecue, mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm.
Barbecue chicken?
I don't eat. Okay. I don't like barbecue sauce at all.
Oh, okay.
So you can grill up some meat for me, yeah, but I don't like barbecue sauce at all.
All right, we just have to come up with a different barbecue sauce. That's all. There's different types,
Barbecue?
you know?
No. We can do a jerk sauce.
Okay.
Mm,
That could
yeah,
work.
or like spicy stuff or Asian sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See.
Sriracha, maybe?
Yeah, that might work. It might work. Might work. Hmm. Okay, you a Memphis guy. What was your upbringing like? Were you brought up in like the church, or was that something that you discovered later on?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that, down south, my mom, she was raising my sister and I, and our grandparents were helpful. And we went to the Baptist church that they grew up in, as far as my mom and her siblings grew up
Hmm.
with. And so that was also the same place where my grandmother was a Sunday school teacher. My grandfather was a deacon there. That's where I came to know Christ, where I got baptized, and where I spent a good portion of my childhood attending church services, as well as vacation Bible school during the summertime.
Oh my gosh. And how old were you when you accepted Christ?
I was around 9 years old.
How did you make that decision? Did you decide to do it, or you was like, okay, grandma said it's time to go?
Well, I think at a certain point you get introduced to God and coming to church, and you start asking questions as far as why is it so important for people, and what you learn in the Bible. And I think you just get to a point where it's like, this is what I want to do.
Mhm. Yeah. But see, I was baptized around the same age, around about 9 years old. My nana brought me, and I didn't know what that was. She was just like, "You getting baptized this Sunday?" I was like, okay." So I got baptized, but I would say that I accepted Christ when I was 18. I was 18 years
Okay.
old and I accepted Christ. And I was like, okay, I'm out of high school, which I was out of high school at 16, but I'm out of high school. I was at a point where I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And so I kind of just opened up my heart and I was like, okay, so my nana said there's a God. My grandma says there's a God. My dad says there's a God. Okay, so there must be a God.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Right. And so I was 18 and I'm like, okay, God, so um, show me who you are and I'll give you who I am. And so that's what happened. And I was 18. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Aw. I thought I was like, oh my God, I'm so late. Everybody else was like, and even when I interview people, they're like, I was 9, I was 11. Oh, I was 6 years old. I'm like, dang, what was I doing with my
I mean,
life?
as long as you did it, late is better than never, I say.
Right? I was like, oh Lord, what was I doing with my life this whole time? But yep, I was 18. And then I traveled with my uncle, and I was like, I guess I did it just in the nick of time. It was a lot I had to deal with. Okay. But you attended seminary school, right?
I did.
How did you make the decision to attend seminary school? Like, what direction did you plan to go with that?
I just love education, Ty-Shaun-Dra. So I wanted to get more schooling, right? More degrees, right? No. What happened was, at that time we were in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, which, for a lot of people, it's a very scary
Yeah.
time to relive, right? A lot of uncertainty, a lot of turmoil, a lot of loss in terms of loved ones, family, and friends that very much can inevitably make you think about the more serious questions in
Yeah.
life, right? The deeper topics beyond, how's the weather? It's just so I think from that standpoint, I kind of had my moment where I said to myself, hey, I'm working in this particular capacity. Is there something that would be more serving to God and his kingdom for the remaining time that I'm here?
Mhm.
Because obviously we can't predict when our time is up. And we can't really negotiate when that time comes
Right.
either. So at the very least, let's make sure that we do the best we can with what days we have left. So it was really a prayer on that one, and I felt led to go to school one more time to learn about God's word, and for me to look at how I could be of service, whether as a preacher or somebody that brings his faith into
Yeah.
business. And that's what led me to go back to seminary and get my master's of divinity degree.
Oh wow. Master. So that means you had to go. You had to get a master's while you were.
Got my master's,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh. See, you and my sister with this more school. Now
Yeah,
I like
but
to
I'm
learn.
done now.
I like to learn too, but I don't know. I don't know about it's something about paying those mortgages just to go look in some books and I understand people learning from the experience of the teacher as well as the books,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't pay mortgages to learn. I'm sorry. That's why I look at it. I'm like, oh my God, you paying mortgages, $100,000 to go to school, and whew, bless your heart.
I get it.
Bless your heart. I don't think anything is
I'm
wrong
done
with
with
it.
school
I don't think
now.
nothing wrong with it. I just think you got to be a strong somebody to go pay those mortgages.
done with done with school, paid off tuition, paid off loans. Hey, we done with all that.
Amen. Yes. Oh my God. So, did you have any plans on after finishing seminary school? I know you said whether that be preacher or to use it in business. Was there anything specific where you said, okay, my plan is to do this, and then it didn't work out like that?
Yeah, I think initially for me, my plan coming out was okay. I want to go preach, like be an actual preacher or a pastor, and it wasn't something I wanted to
Right.
force. Like I didn't want to come to my church and be like, all right, now I got my master's divinity degree. Now put me on stage, right? Like I wanted it to be something that was organic and was something that felt like was in line with what I was feeling in my heart and in my spirit. And I had preached at a number of different churches during my time in seminary. And I definitely see myself as one that would love to deliver sermons on a consistent basis. I think what's happened up to this point is I believe God is opening me up to a bigger
Mhm.
assignment. And I think that he wants me to be open to what that looks like. And it could be in a local church or it can be beyond that. And so I think it's just more so just being patient with him and being open to what's there is and experimenting with certain things as I'm staying open for it.
Okay. Well, that's good. I know sometimes we get discouraged when we have plans and they don't happen the way we think they should happen. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you were like, okay, if I can just go preach at my church, everybody loves me, they know me, they'll probably receive it from me. And then it don't
Mm-hmm.
happen. And God was like, I have something else for you. Was that something
Yep. I
hard for you to take, or was it just like, oh, okay, well, there's something else?
Yeah, I think there were definitely moments to Chandra that I was just like, man, like I thought it was pretty clear cut. I did the degree, now I do this. And, it was something I struggled with a little bit, honestly,
Okay.
where I was like, asking questions in prayer, like, okay, God, if it's not the here, where is it? I believe there's a purpose behind me going to school again and taking the classes I had taken and getting the degree I got. I just don't know exactly what that is. And I think it later got me to preaching online and just whetting my appetite for delivering
Yeah.
sermons. I had been in Bible studies before, small community groups, leading small community groups. Um, and I think here it was just more so just kind of like trying different avenues to still be of service while still being open to what may come out later on.
Right. Okay. That's a good way to look at it. 'Cause like I said, people get discouraged, but having that something to hold on to just say, you know what, it didn't work the way I wanted it to work. And maybe that's for the best. It's hard for us to see that that's for the best because we don't know what
Right.
the end of that is. But yeah, that was awesome. That's a great way to look at it. Um, so you went to seminary school, Harvard Business School.
Mm-hmm.
Was Harvard Business School before seminary school?
Yes.
So you went from Harvard to okay. So Harvard Business School
Mm-hmm.
and University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill,
Which was before
which
Harvard
was
Business
before
School. Yes.
Harvard Business. Okay, so you got to break down this college career for me. So
Mm-hmm.
University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. What did you study there?
Political science and economics.
Ooh, okay. Now, politics is one that I have to stay away from because that's one of those things that
Why?
just, I don't know. What does it do to people?
Why? Tashandra, God gave us government. We have to learn how to navigate government here.
I mean, you're right. You do have to learn how to navigate government, but what does it do to people? Like, it's,
Oh, it brings out the sinful natures that we all
oh
have, of
my
course.
God. I don't know. I've never seen anything like politics that'll bust up a barbecue real quick
Yep.
besides a drunk
And it's
uncle.
funny. Well, and you hit on the nail, Tashandra. I was thinking like a drunk uncle, as far as like why is the drunk uncle acting that way? Is because he has some spirits in him, right? That's why they call the alcohol and the wine and all that they call it. Used to call it spirits. But it seems like today with politics, you don't even have to drink or ingest anything, and you might have some similar spirits going
Oh
about
my
you.
God. I don't know. The politics for me, Mm. It's, I guess because even with having an opinion, your opinion is just like acid. Like you just pour acid on me, like you slinging acid. It's just mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
Hi everyone! Join the Kingdom Fanatics community. Get exclusive content, green room access with our guests, and more. Visit our website at whogodsays.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate your love and support. To find all information on joining our community, being a guest on the show, donating on our PayPal donation page, and more, visit us at whogodsays.com. Now back to the show.
Now it is like you said, you should be able to navigate government, yes, especially Black people. They need to understand the government. They need to understand the laws, and I mean, we everyone feel like we're at a disadvantage, but I think that the disadvantage is also an excuse for most.
It can be, yes.
For most, I'm not gonna say everybody. I'm gonna say for most.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna move on before everybody starts sending me hate mail. Um,
Don't send her hate mail. We're just having a conversation.
and we're gonna go to Harvard Business School. So, Harvard Business School, what did you study there?
Business
Business
administration.
administration. Why Harvard?
It was my top choice to go there actually for college. And I didn't go there for college because I had gotten a full scholarship to North Carolina. I had gotten into Harvard in high school for college, but it's hard to compete with a full
Right.
ride scholarship.
Right.
So I made a promise to my mom. It's like, hey, if you let me go to North Carolina, I'll do my best to go to Harvard for business school. And so that was my goal.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, okay. So you kept your promise and you went to
Mm-hmm.
Harvard Business School. Now,
Mm-hmm.
those are all amazing accomplishments. Were you working a corporate job while you were attending college?
Not while attending
Okay.
college.
So you did you work at all?
While in college, no, I was a full-time student.
See, that's what happened when you get a full ride. Oh my gosh. What are some of the things that college taught you about life that you feel like you would not have gotten anywhere else?
Well, I think at 18, you think you know it all coming out of high school. You're very much looking forward to getting out of your family's house and enjoy being an adult, right? And I think the college is definitely a dose of
Mm,
reality for good or for bad as far as what being a young adult looks like.
yeah.
And you're in a place where you feel like you have a certain sense of freedom, but you also understand that what comes with that freedom is responsibilities and how to handle certain choices and decisions to make on a day-to-day basis that can have a positive or negative consequence to you academically or otherwise. That's a significant classroom to be in.
Mm. And how did you, let's see, how did you apply your spiritual beliefs going throughout your college career? Like, were there any challenging times where you were like, okay, this is why I have God to lean on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I literally have the same Bible that I had back when I was in college 20 years ago,
Wow.
and it was definitely a source for me to refer to whenever I went through issues of being a young adult. Like I remember one where I had a relationship with someone that went off the wrong track
Mm,
as far as like breaking up, and I definitely felt some type of way emotionally. not just with the relationship, but for the young lady. And I definitely remember consulting the Bible and being on my bed, wiping off tears, but still reading, making sure the tears didn't get on the Bibles. Because sometimes the pages, they don't come off the same once they get exposed to water. So, um, but yeah, just going off of what the word says and trying to stay on the straight and narrow, going to church on Sundays, hitching a ride with somebody. I think is really helpful because otherwise, you know, who knows what would I've done in those type of situations.
Yeah.
I might not be here talking to you
Oh,
if I had.
well, thank God. But I know when we're in a very emotional state, and I know a lot of times they say women are emotional, but men are emotional too. They just, the actions within the emotion are different.
Yep,
So,
that can be the case for sure.
yeah, when you're in that emotional state, you have to have something that you can lean on, something that can center you and calm you and get you to think about things before the actions come into play when we're in that emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
Because college years, for most people,
Yeah,
not for me, I was innocent.
really.
College years for most people,
There you go with the
yeah,
most. Okay.
most, because not me. No, no, my college years, I was not focused at all. At
Okay.
There was no focus there. It was like, okay, I want to do this, and then I want to party, and then I want to see everything, and then it was just there
Mm-hmm.
was no focus. So yeah, it's important to have an anchor. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important to have an anchor. It's important to trust God and consult God. Because had I been consulting, I probably would have found my path a lot quicker than
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, I want to do this and I can do this. There's a lot of things that I can do, but that doesn't mean that that's what I
Should do.
should do. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. How did you transition from the corporate world as an employee to an entrepreneur?
I think the big thing was just really taking the lessons I learned working in corporate America and first asking myself, okay, what do you want to
Mhm.
do? Right. And how do you want to make a difference? And how do you want to support yourself? Right. Because um, you're not in college anymore. You're not in school anymore. You're not a full time student. So at some point, you got to figure out how to support yourself as far as the place you stay, the meals you eat,
Right.
that sort of thing. Right. Um, and I think for me, a lot of it dealt with a lot of
Mhm.
experimentation, a lot of trying different ideas, trying different projects and ventures, and figuring out what things worked and what things didn't. And even when things didn't go well, learning from that experience and relaying that into the next thing, but just never giving up on that. And even if it means sometimes you had to have a period in time that you did go back to corporate America for a little bit, you just kept retooling. You just never gave up if it was something that was truly important to you.
How long were you in the corporate world before you transitioned over to being an entrepreneur or like a full time entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'd say like off and on, probably like 6 or so years.
Mhm. What do you say was the hardest thing about that transition? Going from, I know I have a job, I know I have a steady paycheck as long as I'm going to this job, and
Mm-hmm.
transitioning into I'm an entrepreneur, everything rests on me. There is not a steady paycheck. Like, what is the hardest thing? What was the hardest thing for you to deal with during that time?
That I mean, it's a different expectation,
Hmm.
right? Like if you show up at a job, if I show up, don't get fired. I do what I'm told. Every week or two, I get paid. Whether I like the job or not, as long as I do those things, then yeah, I'll be able to take care of what I need to take care of
Yeah.
financially. Um, Oftentimes, when you're working for yourself, you're essentially still working for other people, whether it's for your employees, your customers, your investors, your vendors. And oftentimes, your paycheck may not be as predictable as when you're an employee because things
Hmm.
change and you have to make adjustments. And sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself for the benefit of your team.
Yeah.
And so I think that that sort of um, difference is helpful for people to understand that entrepreneurship, justifiably so, is not for everyone.
Yep. I totally agree. I totally agree. What are some of the things that kind of pin that you can pinpoint that you'll say, okay, I know that this is something that I can do. We just said that entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But what are some of the things, some of the characteristics, or just some of those things that you can say, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're at the bare minimum, these are some of the things that you absolutely need. What would that be?
I think one that comes up top of mind is you have to really like what you do because you're going to always have that comparison in the back of your mind of, I don't have to do this.
Mm,
And you have friends of yours or family members of yours that are on a different type of schedule, right? 5 o'clock hits for them. They're not thinking about work at all until 9 o'clock tomorrow
yeah,
morning. But if you're working for yourself, you probably are thinking about what to do to 9 o'clock at night, maybe early morning. Maybe you come in early the next morning before 9 o'clock. So it might come off as like almost an all day thing
hmm,
to you at some point.
yep,
So just using that as an example, like it's is a really tough picture to paint here, doing that sort of schedule if you're doing something you really don't like.
you burned out.
Yep, burnout can definitely happen. Um, you definitely are going to struggle at times, and it's helpful to do something that you're passionate about that could be of help to people. But the other part of it too is you got to make sure you're doing something that you can actually make money with too,
Yeah,
that can actually provide. Because if your business is acting more like a nonprofit, then either we need to change it to a nonprofit or do something else.
yeah. That's a hard decision as well, especially if you're doing something that you like to do, but it's not profitable. Then
Right?
I don't think a lot of people know when it's time to let it go, when it's time to give it up, when it's or to even pivot. Sometimes you don't have to give it up; you just have to change. And a lot of people don't.
Right.
Change is not something that they're comfortable with, especially when you have in your mind that it's supposed to go step one, step two, step three, and then
Right.
they don't know. In business, you're always going to be changing. You're always going to be pivoting. Um, So yeah, especially if it's something you like to do. So
Absolutely.
that's a hard thing. That is hard. Who believe me, I know. Okay, so you have been out of how long has it been since you've been out of the corporate world as an employee and just been a full-time entrepreneur?
uh, about a year or so.
Okay. And how do you apply your spiritual principles to your business?
Well, I think a big part of it is, who are you becoming in the process of you working in your business? Who are you being in your business? And are there certain aspects of you that you're going to bring to the table or certain ones you leave at home? And I think it's really helpful from a faith perspective for me that it's first and foremost as far as who I am, and I can't leave home without it, you know? So I definitely think it's very much a part of first who I am, how I treat others, what my mission is, how I go about day to day stuff,
Yeah.
who I rely on for help, you know, is a significant portion.
Well, that's big.
And I don't want to leave without it.
That's a big one. Can't leave home without it, and who you rely on for help. Can you elaborate on that? Who you rely on for help?
Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, prayer should be the first line of action when you come across a problem, not the last. Um, at the same time, it's better that you have it at some point. You know, late's better than never, as we said before. Um, but yeah, I just look at it in the sense that, you know, when you're working for yourself, it's not going to be all rainbows and
Right.
sunshines. There are going to be tough moments that you may come across that you don't feel like anybody in your inner circle can truly understand what's going on, right? Because you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur or you're an employer, you're not an employee, right? So there's certain aspects of your day to day that not everyone's going to either understand or want to
Hmm.
understand, especially if it's Friday after 5 o'clock. You know, hey, you talk to me about that on Monday. You know, I'm enjoying the weekend. I'm out here to party.
Right. Right. And then they
So
want you to party
yeah,
too.
exactly. And they don't understand why you can't, or you might have to, you can and you just can't stay out as late
Yeah.
because maybe you have to open up the shop tomorrow morning.
Yeah. There are definitely boundaries, and that discipline has to be in place. But what you said was praying when the problem happens. So that
Mm-hmm.
should be the first thing that you do. I agree. Um, Many times we try to do what we think we should do or try to solve the problem ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time with God, it'll be a problem that you can solve, but you have to consult Him first, and He'll let you know how to solve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's helpful to have God's help on something
Right. I mean,
versus
because
going about it by
you're going to
yourself.
have issues, you're going to have problems, you're going to need solutions, but yeah, who do you lean on? Because that Almighty is something else. The way
I
He
can't
speaks,
think of anyone better.
hmm, no one better. The way He show you things, He's something else. Like I cannot imagine being in business now without consulting God. When I started my tax practice in 2017, and I did everything. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And I talked to God when something happened. I didn't talk to God and say anything about how do I set this thing up? How do I
Mm-hmm.
execute this? How should it?
Mm-hmm.
None of that. I didn't consult him on opening the tax practice. But I whined and wept and cried and wallowed when something happened that I didn't expect or didn't want to happen, or couldn't afford for it to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, I had to throw ashes on my face and everything else then. But with that business, I just surrendered it all to God. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making time for him like I made time for everything else. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did that, it turned around so quickly because it was like I did not have to do everything that I was doing. I was making it harder
Mm-hmm.
on myself. I was
Right.
everything in that business, which if you're in business and you're everything in the business, you don't have a business, you have a hobby
Or a
or a
job.
job. So I was making it harder on myself. And as I got still, because that's what he needed me to do, and he started showing me things, it was like, oh, you know that work smarter, not harder thing? I thought I was doing that
Mm-hmm.
until you actually see you,
What that
yeah,
looks
what
like.
it looked like. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, why you didn't tell me this earlier? And he's like, why you didn't ask?
Starting and growing a business while dealing with your finances can be overwhelming and stressful. Emerald Services provides packages tailored to your business needs to help you mitigate taxes, stay compliant, plan for your future, and save money so you can focus on being the creative, influential visionary that delivers your dreams to the world. Because what you focus on is what will multiply. Schedule your discovery call today to find out ways Emerald Services can benefit your life plan and your business plan. Visit emeraldserve.com or call 504 603 6059.
So, who do you lean on? Who do you talk to? Who do you consult? And then sometimes when you consult God, he may not answer you in the way you want him to answer you. A lot of times he
Mm-hmm.
sends the people who's going to be that resource for you.
Right.
And you got to be open to it. I want to ask you about, I read about you had a difficult time with a foreclosure, a heartbreak, and unemployment. Was that all
Mm-hmm.
at the same time?
To some
To some
degree.
degree. You
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about it?
Yeah, it was a tough period. I was in one of those entrepreneurial ventures that didn't pan
Mm-hmm.
out, and things got really tough
Yeah.
financially. You're getting behind on bills, which includes a
Yeah.
mortgage, right? And you're trying to figure out how to make things work. You haven't lost of family members during that time. You wish you could be connected with them, but you're, miles and hundreds or thousands of miles away from
Wow.
them. And you feel isolated. You're trying to figure out how to make things work. You don't want to succumb to giving up or failure because you're concerned about how you might be looked
Mm.
upon by friends and family. And so it could be a very dark, vicious cycle you can start to move down that can lead to consequences or decisions that you can't necessarily go back
Yeah.
on. And so I think there was one of those moments that in that dark place for me, I got to know God even more intimately
Mm-hmm.
because he got to know me more intimately as far as me talking to him and spending time
Yeah.
with him. And in retrospect, in return, you know, he provided a way out of it that at the time in the moment, it was hard for me to see a way
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely will. You have that light at the end of the tunnel. When you feel like you're surrounded by that
Mm-hmm.
darkness. Yeah. You definitely will feel like you're drowning.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally understand. How did you no how what lessons did you learn after you shut down a multi-million-dollar business after the pandemic? Like what was your takeaway from that?
Um, I think that one of the biggest ones is that life still goes
Yeah.
on. You can choose how you go about your life and also understand that God can bring beauty out of ashes too.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the deciding factor to actually shut the business down?
We essentially couldn't cover payroll
Yeah.
anymore. We had lost a major customer that crippled our finances, and we had a point that we couldn't regularly cover payroll
Yeah.
anymore. So we had to face the truth on that one.
Yeah. Facing realities in business, it's like the some of the hardest things you can go through, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you are a business owner that actually care about people, and you're like, these
Right.
people are dependent on me. These people are depending on these jobs. That weighs on you. It is
Mm-hmm.
such a weight. I mean, when I closed my restaurant, I was like, oh my God. It was so much. Now, personally, I was dealing with things, but I was like, I want to be there for them. I want to make sure they can come to work, they can get their bills paid. They have children they have to take care of, like they have their own families. I want to be there for them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have to face that harsh reality in business, when you have to face reality, it it's a weight. It is an actual weight when you
Mm-hmm.
care.
Absolutely.
So I completely understand. And then you got to be realistic about it. There's no need to continue and just wait until stuff start power gets shut off and just people try to come to work.
Right.
Be realistic about it. And I think having that honesty and integrity about it also helps. I mean, it's a blow. Everybody gonna be mad at you. But be honest, have that integrity about it, because if you were that employee, if you were that person that were going to be impacted, I mean, the business owner is definitely impacted, but how would you want that to happen for you? I wouldn't want to come there and the door's not open one day, you know. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be sitting in an office and the lights go out. And I'm like, what? That's not what I would want. I would want somebody to come to me direct and you know, with all empathy, just let me know what's going on, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
I agree.
hard. It's really hard. I do want to talk about a book you wrote.
Okay.
You wrote a book about AI.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that book?
So one of the books is called Future Proof: How to Adopt and Master Artificial Intelligence to Secure Your Job and Career.
Okay. So how do we do that? How would you use AI to future proof like a normal job?
Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing to Chandra is you want to recognize AI as an opportunity to serve you, not necessarily a threat that can take your job away. Because one quote that I remember the CEO of NVIDIA once saying is, it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's the person that knows AI who's going to take your job.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell me how this works, because maybe I'm looking at it the way everyone else is looking at it. Okay, so you're saying the person who knows AI is gonna be
Mm-hmm.
the one who takes your job, not the AI. Is it
Right.
because AI is a program and it has to be set up by someone?
Right. AI is not applying for your job, but the person who knows AI is.
Okay, so you're gonna have to go. I'm gonna sip my tea on this.
So, I think, yeah, like I think with a number of companies making investments, making certain pivots to adopt artificial intelligence and how they're going about things because of the changing times we live
Mm-hmm.
in, we have a choice in terms of what type of future we have with AI in our own places, in our own jobs, where more than likely this is what's going on. And it's almost similar to, the fax machine.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. When emails came out, you could still send faxes, but at some point, you had to move away from the fax machine because you had something that was better, that was quicker, that more people could use, that was more cost effective than the fax machine. And at some point, the companies are just going to stop sending faxes. They're going to make the investment towards everyone having emails.
Hmm.
But if you're still caught in, I can only communicate with you via fax, you significantly cut your prospects as far as how long you could be working at that particular company and to what degree if they're moving in a different direction. So I see a similar parallel with AI, that whether you notice it or not, a lot of our managers and supervisors, heads of departments and executive teams worldwide, they're having to make tough decisions. They want to survive. They don't want to have to shut down their business. They want to keep going. And so it may prompt them to say, how do we protect ourselves and keep us going? And it might mean we need to invest more in AI. And that may mean a trade-off that we may not be able to keep everyone that's currently employed here, which would then prompt the question of who do we keep? And it would be much easier to keep people that know how to use certain AI tools that the business is using rather than those that don't. And so that's how it could very well come about. Do you stay at your job, or does the person who knows AI
So,
stay at his or her job?
so the best thing to do is to like just basically get comfortable with it. Start
Get
utilizing it.
comfortable. Yep, get comfortable, start learning it, figuring out what parts of your job can you actually use AI with. Start experimenting with it, seeing where it can work. You know, you're going to do some trial and error. That's fine. You know, don't blow up the company while you're at it. You know, like, let's be mindful here. But find things that work for you. Share it with your team members or your colleagues so they can get better too, because you care about them too. And continue to learn and grow with it, because this is something that AI is definitely evolving much quicker than we are as humans. So we're already behind. So you might as well make an effort to try to grow with it and learn and adapt more to it. And by showing that type of effort and the results that come out of you actually being proactive about it, that helps your case to being more of a linchpin in your company that says we have to keep Ty-Shaun-Dra. You know, Philip, he's kind of slacking off. He's thinking the AI is a fad. So he's just wasting his lunch hour just looking outside and feeding the ducks. But Ty-Shaun-Dra, she's actually like taking on extra classes, and she's listening to podcasts or reading certain books about it and trying to figure out how she can include that in her job function. And now she's able to save, 2 hours a day of work that she normally would be doing, but AI is helping her and that sort. And now she has an extra 10 hours a week. She can do more of what she does best. And she's helping us be more productive and more profitable. Like, sorry, Philip, I might have to let you go, because we can only keep two of y'all.
Okay.
I mean, you only keep one of you. So between the two of you, might have to make a tough decision.
Okay. And that would be the same for business owners as well, embracing what AI can do to help your business be more efficient and productive.
Absolutely. So you're taking it from a personnel standpoint to now an actual department.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're looking at Philip and Ty-Shaun-Dra, and now you're looking at like marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What is my sales force looking like? Do I need everyone still here? Do we use certain tools to be more efficient? How can we be more productive from an operational standpoint? How can we be more profitable from a financial standpoint? So you're just taking it like a 20,000 foot view.
Yeah.
But you're still implementing what you need to do on the ground level.
Okay. If we're putting it in a practicality type of way, so I work with Intuit, and I'm a tax and bookkeeping expert with Intuit. There are like there's certain functions that AI does, and so almost maybe twice a month somebody will bring it up in a meeting about the AI. Oh, and the AI is going to take all of our jobs pretty soon. We're not going to have a job. And so when you look at something like taxes and bookkeeping, we put we do all the work. Let's say we're working on an account. We do all the work in the account, and then they send it through this bot. And it's an AI thing that kind of analyzes everything to make sure that it does a review. But when it comes back, sometimes it's not totally correct. So I'm saying, well, I think they're just cutting down on the time that it takes us to go through and review everything. But we're still needed because there are certain things, certain practices that we do at Intuit that other people don't do. So it wouldn't be across the board and say, okay, that's good. We can cut down on the lead that reviews these things. It's just making it more efficient, like you said. It cuts down on that time and directs it to something else.
Yeah. Because otherwise, you may have the occasion where AI takes your job if that was the case. Otherwise. So we are needed for something. Yeah, of course. I think it's still a win to Chandra where, what would have normally taken our team 4 hours to do, now takes us only 3 hours. Or for us to get further in the process, we run this through a bot. And instead of us doing it all ourselves, we're just checking and, what the bot actually came up with. And it still allows us to move the project forward quicker and more effective. And it frees you up to do higher level type of jobs or thinking or duties or tasks that AI at its present iteration can't do as well.
And I still think people prefer to talk to people on the phone and not robots.
Well, until the robots get very human-like in their conversations, which, as I mentioned before, AI is constantly evolving.
See, and this is why people keep saying they're going to take our job.
What I often kid with people when I talk to them is, how do you know that you're not actually talking to the AI version of me right now?
See, you that's too much. And then I'll probably say agent, representative.
Hi, thank you for calling Ty-Shaun-Dra's tax service. This is Philip, the agent. How can I help you?
Representative.
Hi, this is Philip, the representative. Thank you for pushing 0. This is Philip. How can I help you?
No. No. Thank you so much, Mr. Blackett, for coming out today. Can you tell the people where they can connect with you?
Absolutely. If anyone's interested in any of my books on artificial intelligence, you can go on Amazon. They're pretty long titles, so I'll just say, just look up my name, Philip Blackett, PhilipBlackett. You can also connect with me on my website, philipblackett.com or dreambusinessmakeover.com. And lastly, if you want to connect with me on social media, just look up my name, Philip Blackett, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
All right. What is Dream Business Makeover? What do you do there? Is that your consulting?
Absolutely. Helping out with entrepreneurs and small business owners to use AI to grow their sales, profits, and exit value.
Awesome. Okay, I'll have all your links in the description below the video. You guys go reach out to Mr. Blackett, get those books. We got to read up on this AI so we can be secure. Because that'd be crazy. You just walk in and you know how the movies are where the robot is pumping the gas and you know what? We're not going to talk about that.
Talking on the podcast with you?
No. We can't have a podcast. You know what? When they start taking over the podcast, that means it's time for me to do something else. Whatever the Lord say do, that's what I'm gonna do. I might have to program the AI. See?
Mm-hmm.
See? Well, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for sharing your talent and your time with me and the audience. Thank you all for stopping by to Who God Says podcast. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Who God Says podcast with your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Ty-Shaun-Dra. Go to whogodsays.com to join the mailing list for episode premieres, upcoming guests, and more. Send in your questions to be a part of the show at whogodsays@gmail.com. And don't forget, join the Kingdom Fanatic community. Until next time, be blessed and also be a blessing.